Hello and welcome to a Gran Turismo Sport Manufacturers Cup commentary. This time is Group 3 at the Red Bull Ring, and my McLaren F1 can actually be competitive here. This first few sections of the track, McLaren is very good. It's a straight line speed power car, so it's all about getting the car slowed down and getting on the power as early as possible to maximise the time gained down the straights. So yeah, I had the traffic near the start of the lap, but luckily most of them were able to get out of the way fairly easily, so I wasn't really compromised. I might have actually gained a little bit from the bit of slipstream I had. I mean, the time I'd set already, the 128.0, was a reasonable lap for what I'd been doing in practice, but I knew I still had more time to gain in it. This section here is where I struggled. That corner specifically, the McLaren, it doesn't really like too much. It needs a lot more downforce for it, and the McLaren just doesn't have that. And these final few corners as well, need to be cautious to not run wide off the track, because you don't want any track limit penalties. And I crossed the line for provisional pole. So jumping straight into the race, and it's a fuel saving race, and obviously tyre saving specifically for McLaren is more than most cars. Its tyre wear is not the best, so I need to just try to maximise everything I can and try to avoid getting penalties. And I thought I'd try to show a little bit of onboard footage. I don't do this very often. But as you can see, the Toyota in front gets a track limit penalty from the first corner. So I'm just going to try to settle in close and just try to get a good run, make sure I take the place without any hassle. So now I've just got to test the waters and see how my pace is compared to the leader, because I started on the soft tyre, which is not something I normally do. In basically every practice race that I'd run, I'd started on the hard, gone to medium, and then finished on the soft. But with my qualifying going, fairly well, I kind of thought people around me would be on the soft, so I didn't really want to get into any unnecessary kind of scraps with me being on the medium. So as you can see, I'm fairly cautious into these corners, sliding the rear a little bit through the final corner, and nicely on the power. I can see I'm dropping back from the leader at this point, so I'm not going to push too hard to try to catch. I'm just going to try to focus on my pace and do what I can. I don't want to start trying to chase times that, maybe are slightly out of my reach. I didn't see that the Toyota had a penalty. I saw him going for the move, so I gave him plenty of space and then go for the cutback. So I can kind of see why he went for the move. Only having a half-second penalty, it means he could just about maybe keep the slipstream. He does fall out of it, and at this point, but going into the handling section, he's going to be a little bit faster, so he should pull back into the slipstream. But again, you got to kind of think about making moves when you got penalties. You kind of just slowing both of you down for no reason. It's him making the overtake on me. It means he has to run a more compromised line, so he's slower through the corner, and I'm slower for having to essentially wait for him. But he got back into the slipstream. As soon as he's in the slipstream, he just starts gaining on the straights, because again, the Toyota's not only good in the handling sections, but it is fairly fast in a straight line too. So it's not one that I'm going to just pull away from, like say the Porsche or cars along those lines. So for these next few laps, things stay fairly steady, and I'm just going to go a little bit quiet for these next few laps. Okay, as you can see, I lose the rear a little bit through that corner, and the Toyota is now, right on the back of me. I can see he's looking a little bit more fighty than he had been, so I'm watching my radar a little bit more now. I can see him, all over the back of me. But at this point, we are dropping the Corvette, so that's one thing that we had in our favour, and the Toyota would have seen that. But as you can see, he's right on the back of me, coming into this corner where the McLaren's slower and the Toyota's much faster. He bumps me just there. He only gives me a minor touch, but he gets a 1 second penalty for it, and he looks like he's going for an overtake here, but he's dropping back on the straight, so he's too far back, but he goes for the lunge anyway. So I run off the track, and because I run off the track, I then get dirty tyres and a ½ second penalty for essentially getting lunged. And he got the penalty mainly because he was too close. Going into a corner, he should know by this point that the McLaren's not the fastest through the corners, so, and the penalty system isn't the best, so you can't really risk those type of touches. So we both lost time in that section, and we both got penalties for whatever reason he decided to make those moves. But now I have the Corvette right on me. I do go defensive here just as a safety precaution. So I wasn't sure how close he'd be, but he's right on my tail now. So we've gone from the point of dropping the Corvette to now I have him right on my tail. And again, kind of like the Supra, I'm not going to be able to drop it on a straight. So it's going to be with me in the corners, and then it's going to be gaining on the straights with the slipstream. Now coming into the final few corners, I get a bit too hesitant to turn in. I lose the rear bit, and the Corvette bumps the back of me and near enough pushes me off the track. I managed to keep it in track limits, but because of that he gets a run on me into the first corner. So he only got that overtaking chance because of the contact that he had on me. And I get a much better run out of that first corner, so now I'm just going to pull alongside, but he gives me no space, so I have to run partially off track to avoid him. At this point I'm still considering whether I go for the cutback or not, and slipstream down into the next corner. But I just decide to settle in behind him, I'm basically saying to myself, just get on with it then, I want to see what you can do. So I start short shifting, I lift a bit early, brake early, just decide to start following and see what type of lap times we get. Of course we've already seen the lap times that I can do when I'm not being bashed about. I've already lost a load of time through battling at this point, so things aren't too great. I'm actually worried about the people further back who might have started on the hards, because if we fight too much then there's a good chance they can just undercut us with that strategy. So I can see his pace is reasonable, so I'm just settling in to follow him now. I'm happy at this point just to follow. So I get a really good run through the first corner again, and he runs wide and picks up a ½ second penalty. So that didn't last for very long. So we essentially lost time through that final corner and first corner for nothing. So I close right up onto the back of him again, like I did with the Supra on lap 1. Get a good run past, and now I'm just wanting to set as fast a lap times as I can. I need to just try to get more use out of this soft tyre, which is being wasted at this point. Because with how this first stint's gone so far, it might have been better just to start on the medium tyre. Because I've ended up in the battles that I wanted to avoid because of the mediums. And I'm setting blue sectors, so I'm setting my fastest sectors here, so shows I was being held up because of the fighting. Not enough to catch the leader though, that was never really on the cards, but but it's kind of like a safety margin. You never know what everyone else is doing at this stage. So only 2 tenths off my best lap. I was kind of happy with that pace. In practice, I've been running high 28s, so I wasn't too far off, you know, the pace that I could have been running. I mean, later on in the race, on lower fuel, I could run lower 28s, you know, at my optimal time, but I wasn't happy about that move. He was like 4 tenths behind going down the straight, and you know, he was still like 3.5 tenths back in the braking zone. And again, he put himself into a possible overtaking chance by taking a lunge and hitting me. So, I mean, the Supra, when he made contact with me on lap 5, didn't deserve a penalty at all. That is undisputedly didn't deserve a penalty, but this Corvette has hit me twice, and in both instances has put himself into an overtaking chance. Both of those do deserve penalties. This is a problem with the penalty system. And to make it worse, he's pitting this lap, so it's like, why is he wasting both of our time when he's pitting? He was on the medium tyre. I mean, that's why I was dropping him initially at the start of the race, but with him having slipstream and once my tyres had worn out, he's able to keep up more, you know, as the fuel burns off. You know, so the mediums actually pick up pace up until like the soft drop-off point. But again, he cost us both time through an unnecessary fight. And now my tyres are struggling a little bit at this point now, so I'm just wanting to get to the end of the stint and try not to make any major mistakes. So I think I'm going to end my commentary here. From this point on, there's not really a whole lot I can really commentate on. There's some good fighting, but I kind of don't want to talk over part of it to spoil it. But I hope you enjoy the rest of the race, and thank you for watching. I'll see you when I next get around to another video.